Hello everyone, welcome. So we have looked into the life process of class 10 CBSE. We have looked into the nutrition, we have looked into the respiration, and now we will be looking into the transportation. So in this video we will be looking into only transportation in human beings. Okay, so how does transportation takes place? Transportation of what takes place? So transportation basically takes place of oxygen and food. Okay, so here in blood consists of a medium called as plasma. So if you keep the blood for some time, then you will have the RBCs which will come down, and then you will have the upper area which will be a fluid layer of plasma. Okay, so that is how it is. The plasma transports food, carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste in dissolved form. Oxygen is carried by the RBCs. Many other substances like salts are also transported by blood. We thus need a pumping organ to push the blood around the body, a network of tubes to reach the tissues, and a system in which it ensures that the network is repaired if damaged. So basically, who is pumping the blood? The blood is being pumped from the heart. So in the heart is a muscular organ which is as big as our fist of the left hand, because of both oxygen and carbon dioxide have to be transported. It needs to be taken care. They do not intermix, and that is why we have got separate chambers. So if we are drawing a heart, okay, when we are having a heart, it has got basically 4 chambers. So this part will be your left atrium, left ventricle, right atrium and right ventricle. Okay, so we have got 4 chambers in the heart. Okay, so now the oxygen rich blood is pumped. So when the oxygen rich blood is coming from the heart, coming from the lungs, it is being entering into the heart, and then from the heart it is going to all the body, and then after that deoxygenated blood which is entering into the heart and then going into the lungs, okay, for purification. So step by step what is happening, oxygen rich blood from the lungs comes into the thin walled upper chamber of the heart on the left, that's the left atrium. Here the left atrium will relax when it is collecting the blood, then it will contract and it will move it to the left ventricle, and then this left ventricle will relax. Okay, so the blood is being transferred. So when the muscular left ventricle contracts, then the blood is pumped out to the body. So the blood will be pumped out to the body via the aorta. Then after that it will move in the body. Okay, the deoxygenated blood will come into from the body to the upper chamber on the right atrium through the vena cavas, and then after that which is then pumped into the right ventricle. It will move into the right ventricle as the right atrium will contract. Then this transfer of blood to the right ventricles, which in turn pumps it to the lungs for oxygenation. Since the ventricles have to pump the blood into various organs, they have thick muscular walls than the atria. Walls ensure that the blood does not flow backwards when the atria or the ventricles contract. Okay, so now how oxygen enters the blood in the lungs. So the separation of the right side and the left side of the heart is very useful. So it is coming through a method of double circulation. So double circulation has got two different circulations which is going on at the same time. So one is the pulmonary circulation and one is the systematic circulation. So pulmonary circulation is basically to the lungs and this is to the body. Okay, so the oxygenated blood will be carried from the heart to the different parts of the body, and then from the body it will enter through vena cava into the heart. This is systematic circulation. In the pulmonary circulation, what happens? The deoxygenated blood from the heart will move into the lungs via the pulmonary artery, and then after that the oxygenated blood will reach into the heart by pulmonary veins. So whenever the blood is taken away from the heart, it is artery. If it is going to the body, it is the arteries, and if it is going to the lungs, it is pulmonary artery. Whichever is entering, it is entering from the lungs, it is pulmonary vein, and it is entering from the body, it is the veins. Okay. All right. Now coming into the tubes which is there. So we talked about arteries, we talked about the capillaries. Basically the exchange, what happens, it happens in the capillaries. Okay, and there should be the maintenance of platelets. So platelets will minimize any loss of blood that occurs in case of any wound. So it reduces the efficiency of pumping system if there is a loss of pressure that is taking place. So to avoid this, the blood has platelets which circulate around the body and plug these leaks by helping to clot the blood at these points of injury. Next is lymph. Lymph is another type of fluid also involved in transportation. This is called lymph or tissue fluid. Though the pores which is present in the walls of capillaries, some amount of plasma, proteins and blood cells escape into the intercellular spaces, or the tissues, or the tissue fluids, or the lymph, what we call it as. It is very similar to the plasma, but it contains less amount of proteins. So this lymph will drain into the lymphatic capillaries. They have a separate capillaries, not the blood capillaries. So they will enter into the lymphatic capillaries from the intercellular spaces, which join to form the large lymph vessels that finally open into the large veins. Lymph carries digested and absorbs fat from the intestine and drains excess fluids from the extracellular space back into the blood. So that is the function of lymph.